Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, How No-Code NLP Drives Fast and Accurate ESG Insights. Before we begin, we wanted to familiarize you with the On24 platform. At the bottom of your screen are multiple application widgets. All the widgets are resizable and movable, and you can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can submit them through the Q&A widget. Our Q&A moderators are standing by to answer your questions, and we will try to answer them all by the end of the event. In the resource list, you'll find helpful materials that you can bookmark and download. We encourage you to explore these to learn more. In the Help widget at the bottom of your screen, you can find additional answers to common technical issues. Finally, an on-demand version of this webcast will be available approximately 1 hour after the webcast ends and can be accessed using the same audience link that was sent to you earlier. Let's begin today's webcast.
Let's get started here. I would like to thank everyone here for attending today's webinar. Great to participate in this forum today and share views, best practices on ESG area today. I'm excited that Dr. Anshul Vikram Pandey from Accern, a leading FSI industry NLP expert, is here to guide us on industry insights for ESG. We have a well-packaged content where Anshul is going to share his insights on ESG along with an Accern demo. So we are going to be covering both the ESG business and technical areas with reference content here. Let me quickly introduce myself. I am Prabhu Ramamurthy, Global Partner and Customer Manager for Financial Services at NVIDIA. I'm a Chartered Financial Analyst, Financial Risk Manager, familiar with capital markets trading, risk, and investing areas. Previously was at KPMG EY, Big Four as a director, and the head of tech at leading capital market firm, and I've helped 100 plus institutions in digital AI ML transformation projects. My role here at NVIDIA is to specifically work on FSI use cases for banking, insurance, and capital markets. We enable and work with ecosystem partners such as Accern and other software product firms with customers. Accern is a key NVIDIA partner firm who make AI use cases a reality for our customers. And they've done extensive engagements in the capital market space. To learn more about Accern being used at top clients such as Allianz, please take a look at our previous GTC webinar. I can provide the link in chat later, as well as refer to Accern website where they work with top investment banks. They have also been quoted as leaders in CBI Insights 2021 for no-code AI platforms in banking and insurance. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce Anshul today. Anshul holds a PhD in computer science from New York University and a BE degree in electrical and electronics from BITS Pilani, a top engineering institute in India and Asia. Anshul has published several award-winning research papers at top computer science conferences. His research is widely covered in books and popular media such as Reuters and Wired. He has won several awards in statistics, data science, entrepreneurship, named among the top 25 fintech CTOs, and was listed in Global Forbes 30 Under 30 in 2018. It also gives me great personal satisfaction to say that Anshul has been a close friend over years. He is a helpful and warm person who always takes time to educate others. Back 5 years ago, when I was talking to Anshul, he mentioned that he spent 80% of his funding in a deep learning NLP model. He has always been at the cutting edge of AI forecasting trends that have materialized years later. I've learned a lot from him on AI and hope that others can benefit from his expertise today. With that, I'll pass it to Dr. Anshul Vikram Pandey.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the nice and warm introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Anshul Vikram Pandey. I'm the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of Accern. Accern is a no-code NLP development platform. We offer to financial institutions a way to process through internal as well as external documents with ease, and then generate insights for the better investment decisions as well as for better risk analysis and reporting. One of which is ESG analysis, and that's something we would love to talk about today. So before we dive into the broader discussion around ESG, we thought why not start with the classic global risk report that's published by World Economic Forum. As some of you might be aware, these reports do describe what are the various likelihood and severity of impact areas that financial institutions as well as the global economy should be aware of. And they bucket these risk topics into five broader categories, which spans from economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal or social, as well as technological. And as you can see on this chart, in 2020, the top five major areas or the risk topics or themes that came up in the report were all related to the environmental issues. And the same goes for the severity of impact dimension, where the top three of the top risks were associated with environmental factors, and then one was associated to geopolitical, and the last one to societal. This automatically shows to us that even at the macro global level, all the financial institutions as well as the broader regulatory agencies are starting to look at environmental or sustainability or the broader ESG conversation with a lot more seriousness. And that is then distilling down to the way financial institutions make investments as well as the way the broader reporting as well as risk and compliance is taken care of. So building upon that theme, ESG today is no longer nice to have. It's actually very critical to competing in this space. So let's quickly look at some of the stats we have on the slide. 25% of the US funds are ESG focused, and that's also growing at a 33% rate. $45 trillion of wealth is moving to millennials, and 75% of those are putting a premium on sustainability. The US ESG Disclosure Simplification Act of 2021 is already requiring companies to have very clear ESG reporting in their broader filing, as well as the European Union's SFDR regulation of 2021, which requires financial institutions to provide a very detailed information about their ESG investments that they offer. And when I look at how ESG is very critical to competing, we can look at it from driving better corporate performance perspective, where it is about building customer loyalty or building a more sustainable supply chain where you have sustainability-focused supply chain partners, or it's about avoiding compliance risks associated with the investments, or it is about just fueling innovation, whether it is around responsible investing, green financing or lending, climate awareness and writing, so on and so forth. So while the importance of ESG is undisputed, companies are actually struggling with ESG data. And we look at this problem in four broader buckets. The first is no centralized system where companies can find access to all of these different types of data sets. So we have clients as well as partners where the data is siloed within certain data centers, with enterprises. They have licenses from certain vendors, but they don't know how to get access to the underlying raw data to do additional analysis, and so on. The second broader problem, the bucket of the problem, is stale data. So anytime you ask what is the ESG profile or the materiality map of a particular company, most of the time it is backward looking, which means it only shows what the company has been doing as of today or as of now. But what it does not tell you is what is going to happen from today onwards. And that is what investors want. Investors want forward-looking data. And just the historical past information can only be indicative, but it doesn't really give enough variables or features that you could use to model for your future investments. The third is inaccurate data. And this is an interesting stat that we came across. So 42% of the companies are actually greenwashing. And that this information came from the European Commission report. And that's a gap between what companies say and what they do. And that leads to possibilities of reputation risk. And then the last is inconsistent data. Now, because there are no regulations pertaining to how the ratings should be created, how the scoring methodologies should be laid out, various rating agencies have their own methodologies to come up with certain ESG scores. And that leads to inconsistency where the variables that are utilized by two rating agencies might be very different, even though the ratings that you are seeing are quite similar from one another. And that's where Accern helps ESG investors as well as ESG offices. So for ESG for investors, a type of use cases, we see our customers utilizing our platform to structure their unstructured data. For example, the company got the corporate filings, company reports, various types of analyst reports, PDF documents, social media feeds, and so on that they might be collecting internally, and then utilizing our platform to create a structure out of it and save it in certain databases through which they can then visualize and explore the underlying text data. The second type of usage of our platform that we see with these investors is tapping into real-time insights as well as utilizing the platform as an early warning system by analyzing public news, blogs, social media, again, and so on. The third is detecting greenwashing. So we also have clients who are looking at a particular credit rating agency's ratings and then comparing it against what the corporate filings say and what the corporate filings have around a specific ESG topic, and then what the social media as well as online reviews say about those topics for the particular company. And then by bringing together all these three dimensions, they were able to identify which companies are actually walking the talk and which may have some flavor of greenwashing going on there. And then looking at how Accern is utilized for ESG offices. So we see lots of internal teams who are using our system to improve the accuracy of their ESG reporting. Now, companies by themselves want to be more transparent as possible in a way, and not create any kind of ambiguity in the way they present the information. And that's where Accern comes handy, where we see these companies and their internal teams utilizing their internal data and then passing it through our system to generate insights around how their ESG posture looks like from the sentiment point of view, from the broader distribution of different topics, whether they are covering all the aspects of the ESG map that's of concern to them or not, and identifying certain gaps that they might not have filled in their reporting. Then second is avoiding greenwashing and reputation risk. And once again, for them knowing what others are saying about their ESG posture so that they can, in a timely manner, tackle those concerns in their next set of corporate communication that goes out and that they could incorporate in their filings and so on. And the last is leveraging our platform for more accurate ESG data to promote their brand, improve operations, and innovate on products and services. So we also see companies who are identifying based on the broader ESG conversation that's happening in the space, identifying what kind of products that would be of higher value, what kind of operational change that they should be making in the way they conduct business, that's going to help them in their broader ESG performance and so on. And the way we cater to all of these different types of customer segments and different types of use cases is through our pretty comprehensive ESG issues mapping that we have in the system. So, for example, you pass a particular 10K file, let us say, or company's annual report through our system, and the system will be able to process the whole document across these 26 ESG sustainability issues that we have pre-integrated into the system. Plus, we also offer to our customers a way to create their own topics and issues. And that comes very handy when we see clients who are a little more forward-looking and they are able to anticipate newer issues and newer topics that might be of interest. And then they go into the platform, create their own taxonomies and topics, and then utilize the system to analyze documents through that new taxonomy that they create. So we currently cover these 26 ESG sustainability issues for over 60,000 companies, while also offering a way for our customers to bring their own taxonomies, their own topics, their own companies, and so on. So putting it all together, what Accern offers is a way for financial institutions as well as ESG offices to uncover ESG insights accurately and in real time. And these analyses, we look at them into these three broader segments. One is ESG controversies, that it is around racial injustice, plastic waste, and so on. Or it is around ESG frameworks. So let us say you want to see how the MSCI ratings compare with the online social media conversations. You should be able to do that. Or identifying emerging ESG topics, for example, social and health, gaining momentum in a particular category. So all of these, all the things that I talked about earlier, they all then map into these broader buckets, which is around identifying, just analyzing document around a pre-identified topic, or analyzing document comparing against an existing framework, or identifying a new emerging topic. And then all of that then maps to various types of eventual decisions that are made by these clients, whether it is around portfolio or index construction, where we have lots of users who are using our platform for those purposes, risk modeling, ratings, quantitative trading, pricing and lending. So while I talked about all the underlying aspects, I think now would be a great time to dive right into a nice and quick demo. And I will hand it over to my colleague to give you a walkthrough of the platform.
Hey guys, so this is going to be the Accern home screen. When you first log into the platform, this will be the screen that you're taken to. So you can do a number of different things here, including search or filter for any use case that you've created in the past, build new use cases, or click into and edit any current use cases that you have. Along with that, you can duplicate, transfer to a new user, or delete the current use case that you're working on. But for the sake of this demo, we'll actually just jump into the ESG demo that's been built for us. So clicking into the use case, this will be the first screen that you're taken to, and it's called the Accern data sources page. So this is where you're selecting the type of textual data that you want to ingest and process for your use case. So there's typically two workflows that we see covered with Accern. The first being ingesting internal textual data, such as analyst commentary, PDFs, CSVs, etc. So what that'll look like is by clicking on the Import Your Data button, you'll be pulled to this screen where you can select the data source, either individual file types such as a CSV, text, PDF, or JSON, or an individual API as well. So if you have subscriptions to various data providers, you could leverage Accern as a way to consolidate and ingest all of that textual data within one platform. With that in mind, we also come out of the box with native data connectors. So we cover all the three major cloud providers, including Microsoft Azure, Google BigQuery, and AWS, and also have coverage for Snowflake. And then various SQL databases out of the box, such as Microsoft SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, etc. But the other workflow that we typically see here is then leveraging external market data. So out of the box, Accern comes with a handful of proprietary data sets, the first of which include public news, which is going to cover over 45,000 public financial news sites, and public blogs, which is going to cover over 1 million financial blogs. I want to emphasize here that our public news actually has a global focus. So if you were looking to capture information from a local language or simply configure your sources, you could do that as well. So out of the box, Accern does cover over 100 different foreign languages, and we'll be able to translate the text and then deliver it back with you with enriched analytics in English. With that being said, the next proprietary data set that we offer out of the box is going to be our SEC filings. So this will cover all the annual and quarterly reports for any publicly listed SEC company. And then we have premium data partnerships in place with Dow Jones and Moody's News Edge as well. So once you've actually selected the type of textual data that you want to process, the next step is going to be defining your taxonomy. So the taxonomy is essentially the way that the Accern platform knows what to look for within the textual data set that you've selected. So the first thing that we need to define is what we call an entity. So an entity can be any person, place, or thing. As an example, if you're looking to monitor a specific equity, a specific sector or indice or region, that is what you would define as your entity. So for our example, let's say I was looking to monitor the S&P 500 for relevant ESG related thematic events. The first thing I would do is define in the taxonomy what my entity is. So in this case, it would be the S&P 500. And due to the pre-trained nature of Accern, we come out of the box covering all US equities, international equities, cryptocurrencies, Forex, and then commodities as well. So these 5 classifications of entities are all going to be what you use to define your entity in the platform. With that being said, once you define your entity, the next thing you'll need to define are what we call thematic events. So as I mentioned earlier, for our example, we will cover relevant ESG thematic events around the S&P 500. So within our ESG offering, we come with 67 various subtopics, ranging from anything from employee benefits to environmental issues, down to governance, and then social as well. But with that being said, if you didn't see a relevant ESG event that you wanted to include, you have a number of different ways to accomplish that. So you can build the taxonomy yourself by clicking the Build Taxonomy button, going down to thematic events, finding the relevant subgroup that you want to include it in, so ESG, and then typing in the relevant theme name that you want to include here. You could also begin to add variations once you do define the theme name that you want to include, and then we cover advanced options as well, such as manual search queries, expansion rules, query source, etc. The other way that you can go about creating a custom taxonomy or adding custom equities, entities, or thematic events would be selecting from a CSV. So if you upload a CSV of your data to the Accern platform, our teams will actually create those custom taxonomies for you on the back end and then deliver those back to you. So once you actually define the taxonomy and tell the platform what you're looking to extract, the next step would be defining what we call the NLP models. So out of the box, Accern comes with these models here on the left. So the document classification, entity classification and theme classification are going to be ways that the Accern platform extracts pieces of textual metadata out from the documents, the entities, and then the themes themselves. Within the documents, we can pull out information such as the document title, its URL, the source of the document, amongst others. And then we can do the very similar thing for the individual entities and the themes as well. The way that we actually quantify the textual data is via our sentiment analysis. So sentiment is given on a scale from -100 to a +100, which you'll see in the output, and on 4 different levels, starting with the highest level and then getting more granular as you proceed down. So the document sentiment is going to be a combination of all the average sentiment of the entities and events found within an article. The entity sentiment will be the average sentiment of all the mentions of the entity. Similarly for the event sentiment. And then finally for the signal sentiment, it is just going to be a combination of an entity and an event that's been extracted as a signal. So that individual signal will have sentiment attached to it as well. As I mentioned earlier, we do come out of the box with foreign language translation. So if you guys were looking to capture press or relevant textual information from a foreign language, you have the ability to do that. And then the final type of analysis that we deliver is going to be the Accern relevancy analysis, which is just going to be a way to determine which signals and extractions are the most relevant to the use case that you've defined. So this is given on a scale of 0 to 100 and can be used to filter out a lot of the noise and get rid of unrelevant signals that have been captured by the platform. So from this point, once you actually select the type of NLP models that you want to use, the final step in the process is going to be selecting how you want to deliver your use case. With that in mind, the first step in the delivery process is selecting a frequency. So we'll give it a second to load, and then we will see the 3 different frequency options that Accern offers. The first being real time. So this will deliver any of the data that you've processed in real time. The next being scheduled. So if you know that you were only going to look at the data, let's say once a week, once a month, or once a quarter, you can schedule them accordingly. And the final being historical. So if you wanted to analyze a historical subset of textual data, we do offer that ability as well. All of our data sets for public news and blogs go back to September 1st of 2012, and any of the premium data partnerships, including regulatory filings, go back to 2000. So by selecting the frequency, it'll show you an estimation of the units that's going to consume, and you click Save and Apply Changes. And the next step in the process would be deciding how you want to export your data. So we allow you to export in a number of different ways. 2 of the most common are going to be the Accern Data Store, which will store the data in the platform and then use a dashboard or an API to allow the end user to explore it. The next being Accern Analytics. So we have a premium analytics offering within the platform. This will give you access to that dashboard as well as the ability to create your own dashboards as well. From this point, if you wanted to leverage the Accern platform as more of a middleware solution, so pulling in data from a various data source such as Redshift, Snowflake, S3, and then delivering it back, we can be used to then push this data back out to those sources or visualize it in a different BI tool such as Power BI. Additionally, if you have a Tableau or something similar, we can deliver our API to that tool and then visualize the data accordingly. For the sake of the demo, I will choose the Accern Data Store. It'll give you a delivery title. You go ahead and click Add, and then you'll be given the ability to actually review the use case that you've created. So on the Review Use Case screen, it'll give you an overview of everything that you've selected. So it'll show the data sources that you've selected here, so public news and blogs, the taxonomy that you've defined, so we're covering US equities and then relevant themes, the NLP models that you've selected, so document classification, entity classification, theme classification, sentiment analysis, and relevancy analysis, as well as the delivery method, so the Accern Data Store with the Accern dashboard attached. If everything looks good and the review use case looks okay, you can click Start Use Case, And at this point, this is where you'll be given access to the various ways of analyzing the Accern data. So you'll be giving access to dashboards, the data analytics, which would be our premium dashboarding solution, or the individual feed API, which will give you the URL as well as a token to then copy and get access to. And for the sake of this demo, we will then jump into the final output using the Accern Premium Analytics solution. So this will be the Premium Analytics solution, the look and feel. We use ThoughtSpot as our dashboards internally for Accern. And what you're seeing here is going to be a high-level overview of the entities and then the sentiment score for each individual entity. So this is how we're able to actually visualize the sentiment score for quick comparative analysis. So if I was looking to see how one organization is ranking up against its peers, we can visualize the data this way. And then this table right here will actually give you a total signal count and then a unique document count for each individual entity that's been selected. Moving down, we get a little bit more granular. So we can actually break down the entities by their individual sectors, the type of entity they are, their indices, and then the region. Because we've selected S&P 500 for this use case, they're all going to be US equities and typically found within North America, but we do get good insights around the sector breakdown of the S&P 500 here. Getting more granular, we can actually do a signal distribution over time. So you can see the weeks with peaks typically have had some sort of adverse or ESG related event happen during those weeks. And then moving down further, we can get into the individual events as well. So this is similar to what we saw with the entity overview, except it's going to break down each individual ESG event that we've selected and visualizing it accordingly. These are just different ways that we can visualize the sentiment data. So one visualization that our end users typically like is the heat map, as well as the signal distribution by the event to see which events have captured the most signals. This is giving you a sentiment overview, so you can see the breakdown of sentiment per week on a weekly basis, and you can make it more granular. You can do daily, monthly, what have you. And then here's what the actual individual signals would look like. So this is where we're extracting the relevant information that we've selected from our NLP models page. So you'll see the signal ID, the entity name, the event that it was captured under, the document title, the actual entity text where it was captured, the event hit, so the reasons why it was extracted, where the document actually came from regarding the URL, when it was published, and then the average sentiment score that's associated with that signal.
It was great to hear on ESG from Anshul, as well as go through the Accern ESG demo, where they show such NLP areas in action in the real world. With partners such as Accern, NVIDIA team is doubling down on these use cases in NLP, ESG, risk investing in capital markets. We call these improving the operational experience in capital markets, which can drive new frontline revenues and help in managing risks. We want customers to be able to work on the big picture, driving AI transformation with unstructured data, alternative data, intelligent dock automation, and early warning indicators. Leading FSA customers, including those of Accern, have benefited from such solutions. Other organizations are catching up, and this entire place is exploding, growing rapidly. NVIDIA Financial Services team wants such customers to succeed in this space. Most people know of NVIDIA as a gaming firm. NVIDIA is in top 15 in US stock market by market cap, and this is all due to AI leadership. Integral to modern AI ML technologies is that AI is accelerated on NVIDIA GPUs. For example, NLP, computer vision, speech all run on GPUs, and NVIDIA is the de facto leader in the AI market. In finance, we go to market by sub-verticals: banking, capital markets, insurance, payments, and fintech. Banking, insurance, and capital markets has been a sector which is readily embracing AI because of the nature of capital markets relying on alternative data. Alt data is a hot topic in capital markets space. Investors are increasingly looking at sources of data and unstructured data in news and other channels to give them an edge where it can act as an alpha source. Many of the traditional financial data can be backward with alt data sources as current and forward-looking, and financial firms need this edge to stay relevant. Also, financial crime, fraud prevention, know your customer AML is common to all industries. Here you can have areas such as early warning systems to monitor the health and news of corporations, entities, and serving useful risk monitoring cases using AI. In quant finance, scoring and pricing and risk systems, a lot in capital markets is trading, hedging, and risk management on tabular data. Even in this scenario, downstream analytics from alternative data would be helpful. And algo trading, time series forecasting, it's the same as above. If you can ensure unstructured to structured signals can be maintained with sufficient granularity and quality over time at shorter granular time intervals. Intelligent automation. This is another related area where we are going to cover as Accern as a solution that helps in doc automation for analysis of documents, as well as automating a number of components in the workflow ranging from unstructured to structured, ESG analysis, and investment analysis. Typically, sell-side research analysis employs mosaic theory, which is basically forming informed decisions from public sources of data such as news. Tools such as Accern have worked to simplify this analysis. The other areas are customer service and personalization. Transcribe your meeting, supporting virtual assistants who can respond, and assist agents to policy queries, cross-sell products form the remaining AI story. How do we, NVIDIA Accern, as well as the use cases discussed earlier, fit into the overall big picture? Executives have challenges. 84% miss growth objectives for AI projects, and 76% have trouble scaling AI projects. A successful AI project is a meeting of different minds and different teams. A customer firm has different stakeholders, IT infra, line of businesses, AI data science solutions. Just like real estate success is location, 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 similarly AI mantra is use case, use case, use case. AI platforms are key to achieving customer-driven AI vision and transformation of business case drivers such as NLP, ESG, and alt data. The focus on use case is going to drive ROI, profitable P&L to the end customer and line of business. Once LOB knows that these use cases are achievable and drive revenues, reduce expenses, AI data science solutions such as Accern, as well as the necessary AI compute infrastructure, can be funded and supported. Lack of AI should not become a challenge to developing business solutions. Instead, technology should be an enabler of business outcomes. The NVIDIA platform stack is accessible on all environments and deployments, cloud and hybrid, helping partners and customers build powerful AI applications. NVIDIA helps in the business drivers solving infra and resource challenges, both hardware and software. NVIDIA provides you all the tools for developing unstructured data and structured tabular AI solutions. In unstructured data, I would like to point that the GPU is a necessity, not an afterthought. Most of today's cutting-edge solutions are being built on unstructured data, including those of Accern on NVIDIA GPUs. Another emerging trend we have noticed is the use of AI and GPUs at scale, ranging from hundreds to thousands in Kubernetes. including with partners such as Accern. Kubernetes clusters support AI training and inference at scale on the GPU. Here, GPUs are the AI-enabled compute worker planes for unstructured data and other workloads. The NVIDIA stack also supports Kubernetes GPU solutions, acting as a SaaS platform for training and inferencing on such use cases. You can readily add AI worker nodes to solutions if you want your AI NLP models to scale from 1,000 docs to 100,000 docs. We're seen as such an architecture at all leading banks, insurance customers, where AI is leveraged on multi-node, multi-GPU environments, including those led by our partner Accern. In the middle layer, NVIDIA provides software applications for AI such as Rapids, similar to the Python Pandas scikit ecosystem on the GPUs, NVIDIA AI Triton inference servers, and these are a number of products under the NVIDIA AI Enterprise umbrella. Triton Inference Server helps in low latency model decisioning, inferencing on the GPU with optimized GPU utilization. At the top, you see Accern, who can help you with a ready-to-deploy enterprise AI application for NLP in finance. Accern team can help on building customized NLP apps powered by such a platform. Most of software product firms, including Accern under the hood, are relying on an NVIDIA GPU platform and build powerful AI business applications. Such a platform stack and architecture can accommodate all types of deployment options, including for future needs. Finally, the motto is simple here, and use case is the key. Technology and technology tools are there to help in building the end use cases. NVIDIA, along with partners such as Accern, helps in these business drivers, solving AI infra challenges, hardware, software, scale, optimizing total cost of ownership, TCO, and delivering on productivity. Solutions such as Accern make use cases deployable immediately on NVIDIA AI platform and software development kits such as NVIDIA Triton. Accern has built an NLP AI platform leveraging large language models such as BERT, other DL models, created knowledge graphs, supported batch real-time feeds, and applied their FSA expertise in working with financial data and backtesting such a platform over years. Anshul will cover how NVIDIA GPUs and Triton inferencing software are used at scale in Accern engineering to enable the demo use case that you saw earlier. For me, the satisfaction is that we are able to help in a leading use case and make it possible with such technologies.
Thanks again, Prabhu. I get very excited every time I get the opportunity to talk about the Accern engineering that goes behind the scene. So what you saw on the demo, in the background, the system basically scales both horizontally as well as vertically, depending on the resource requirement that you have in your pipeline. Here, I just took an example of a classic pipeline that just got started and required around 6,000 documents that had to be processed every second. So we were using NVIDIA GPUs and then using Triton inference servers, and they were doing around 5.9, around 5,900 operations per second or inferences per second. Now, scalability and efficiency goes in the very DNA of Accern engineering. What we don't want is our customers having to pay for resources that their use cases are not really using. So as you switch on a use case or deploy a use case, the systems go live, again, depending on your resource requirement, looking at the volume of the data that you are processing, and so on. The system automatically allocates resources for the pipeline. Everything goes up live, your data gets processed, and then things slowly come down, and you basically have zero idle resource or zero wastage on the resource. Now, this approach scales both, scales all the way from a single use case that you may want to deploy for a particular team, or even 100 use cases that you may want to deploy for your whole enterprise across multiple geographies and multiple departments. And we have done deployments for both of those types of clients without really requiring significant engineering investment from our side. So that said, our partnership with NVIDIA, with them we look at only sky as the limit. As we deploy the smallest of the use cases, we are also keeping in mind our capability to deploy much larger use cases that spans across hundreds of users and thousands of GPUs and so on. With that, I will take us to the Q&A section. Thanks again, everyone, for spending time today with us for going through our presentation and a demo. I hope you all liked what we presented today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us offline as well at support@accern.com or to my personal email ID, anshul@accern.com. And we'll now open the floors for questions. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to our webinar. We have some time now to take some questions. So I'll start with the first one. This question is, how have Accern's ESG clients used your insights to find value?
Hey, I appreciate the question. So regarding the Accern ESG clients, we have a pretty wide range of clients that are using our ESG offering in different ways. So one of the more common ways that we've seen has been to supplement the work that they're already doing with ESG with more real-time or live streaming ESG insights. One of the issues with a lot of the ESG providers today is that they provide more black box reports, meaning that they come once a month or once every 3 months. So with Accern, a lot of our clients are using us to enable the work that they're already doing with more real-time insights coming from external sources such as news and blogs or regulatory filings. And then outside of that, we also have a lot of clients which are using our platform and embedding it into the product that they have in-house to then source ESG signals and insights for their banking teams and amongst others.
Great. Thanks for that. Okay, we'll go on to our next question. This question is, what framework was referenced to build the Accern ESG taxonomy?
That's a great question. So for our out-of-the-box offering, we leveraged the SASB standards for sustainability goals. But then as we continue to grow as an organization, we've gotten more and more requests to incorporate like the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. So we've also incorporated those as well.
Great. Okay, our next question is related. Is the ESG taxonomy flexible? Can it be modified to include additional themes?
Yes, due to the pre-trained nature of Accern, our taxonomy comes with the ability to not only include your own custom themes and entities, but also modify the ones that are existing within the taxonomy as well.
Awesome. Okay, the next one I've seen here is, what differentiates Accern from other ESG data solutions?
I'd say that the biggest differentiator for us is the ability to pull real-time ESG insights, and then also to marry up external data sources like news and blogs with any internal textual data that you have as well, covering ESG insights. So this really enables our end users to get a holistic view of all the ESG information coming from their textual, their data sources.
That sounds good. Okay, next question. How long does it usually take to go from an idea to a POC to a prototype?
So
maybe probably I'll start with you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, correct. Go ahead.
I was going to say for the engagement model of Accern, Typically what it looks like is we do a scoping session where we'll spend maybe a week identifying the use cases that we want to evaluate. Once we have that information and the key drivers, we then move into a POC evaluation, which ranges from anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, and they're guided in the sense that we have open office hours on a weekly basis, so you can come and get help with refining the use case and any issues that you're having. And then at that point, we typically move directly into production. And then so the average cycle, I would say, for an Accern idea to production is about anywhere from 1 to 2 months.
Great. That sounds good. Okay, this next question is, what kind of customizations are available on the platform that you offer?
Yeah, so we have the ability to be flexible in our taxonomy, like I mentioned earlier, so you can create any custom entities or events that you want to include in your use case, as well as train the sentiment model as well. So with what we found working with a lot of our end users is that they like to incorporate a little bit of their own bias in the sentiment model. So they'll actually go in and find the signals with the given sentiment scores and then adjust them to however they see fit. And then over time, the platform would then actually learn and continuously improve that sentiment model to then match their bias. Outside of that, we also have the ability to be flexible in our API. So we can deliver the data that way, make it easy to analyze in that sense.
Great. Thanks for that. Okay, we've got a couple more, and then we will likely wrap. Okay, this one is, does it work with internal reports as well as other sources or connectors? For example, 10Q, 10K premium sources.
Yeah, so our platform, we come out of the box with the SEC filings, which will cover all the 10Ks and Qs for any publicly listed SEC organization. And then we also have a large number of our clients that are ingesting their own internal documents. So whether it's, various sustainability reports, what have you, they're able to do that as well.
Great. Okay, and I think this will be our last question. So this one is, how are deep learning models used in this process, and how do you leverage GPUs?
Yeah, so the deep learning models that we used were along the lines of like BERT, Distelbert, Roberta, and then they're used at the back end, and it's a series of the models.
Great. Prabhu, did you want to add anything in addition to that?
Yes, Brent. I mean, all these, right, use cases, right, they need a series of models, right? And it's amazing, right? I've seen some of these models at Accern. They use an entire range of models, right? And they are used for the appropriate pipeline, right? And all of it depends upon the custom use case that you set, and Accern platform, right, can get the results based on the customization that you do, right? So you can monitor for ESG scores, you can monitor for any other themes, and Accern team applies the respective pipeline, right? So you have a great use case here, right? And I'd also like to point out, right, you can set any number of pipelines, right? The underlying usage is, right, you can set it on any ESG metrics. Similarly, you can set it on multiple pipelines, and you could have like anywhere from 10 to 100 to thousands of pipelines, right? And each of those pipelines use the GPU models, and Accern team has done a wonderful job of right, figuring out the right models to use in the pipeline and get the respective result. One thing that's always amazed me with the platform is, right, they've also been able to get it, right? These results, you get the results back, and you see them in easy to visualize manner in Power BI ThoughtSpot, right? It's very underestimated, but you really need to have like these results summarized for any trading decisions, investment decisions, and that's also like a highlight of the platform, right? Finally, you get the results of the models, and it's also presented in a great visual manner. And right, I see that it's an end-to-end platform going from modeling to summarizing the results. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. So we're just about ready to wrap up. Just wanted to give one more thank you to everyone who attended. And do our presenters want to leave us with any closing thoughts before we wrap?
I'll take that, Brett. This space, right? I come from a financial background, right? My specialization, I have a CFA FRM. I started working on a lot on tabular data, right? But you see how much the space has changed, right? And with the advent of sources such as Twitter, news analysis, right? Finance has always been about behavioral finance too. And right, the key to tackling this is combining both behavioral finance along with traditional analytics. And that kind of approach is solved by this solution, right? You get the best of both the worlds. You're able to apply your analytic abilities as well as you are able to engage, right, and use alpha signals, new sources of signals, leveraging Accern's platform, right? And the more and more I see, right, we are heading this path, right, where you're going to see all aspects of financial analytics as well as behavioral finance being addressed. I'll leave it at that.
Great. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So last thing is feel free to click on the resources in the console to see some valuable information. Appreciate it. And thank you so much. We'll hopefully engage with you in the future. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you very much.